Everyone. So with the final George Floyd verdict being read today and all the stupidity going around about Daunte, Wright, and Adam Toledo, I thought today would be a great day to make a video. Because as usual, the people who scream the most are making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. All these people got what they deserved. So let's start with Daunte Wright. Daunte Wright was actively resisting arrest when he was killed. And yes, the officer did mean to tase him and shot him instead, but he was actively resisting arrest, so you know what? That's just part of life. If you actively resist arrest, you are basically signing a death warrant. They have to do what they have to do to subdue you. Yes, it's a little unusual that she mistook a taser for a gun, but it's happened before. Police do that all the time. If they have to reach for the taser, they might as well use the gun because at that point you're giving them an issue. Also, he had an arrest warrant out for a very violent crime. So let's talk about that crime. I'll read the trial record. After a party that Wright had attended, one of the women who was there went to the bank to get her $820 rent money, which he gave to another woman at the house, and then left for work. As Wright, driver, and the second woman were leaving, Wright allegedly tried to hold up the woman. The three of them were walking to the door to exit the apartment, and defendant Wright turned around and blocked the door, preventing victim from leaving, says the report written by police officer Shane McKelson. Defendant Wright then pulled a black handgun with silver trim out from either his right waistband or his right coat pocket and pointed it at victim and demanded the rent money, continued McKelson. Victim said, "Are you serious?" Defendant Wright replied, "Give me the effing money. I know you have it." When the woman again asked him if he was serious, Wright is said to have replied, "I'm not playing around." McKelson's report said the $820 cash was tucked in the victim's bra, and defendant Wright placed his hand around victim's neck and choked her while trying to pull the cash from under her bra. Victim was able to get loose from defendant Wright and started to kneel down and scream. After more yelling, Wright allegedly told the woman that he was going to shoot her unless he got the money. "Give me the money and we will leave," he allegedly said. "Give me the money and we will go." McKelson added defendant Wright then tried to choke victim a second time and tried to take her money. Defendant driver was telling her to give defendant Wright the money. The other man who was with Wright ultimately coined him to leave. At the time he was arrested, there was a warrant out for this charge. He had failed to show up to court hearings, and that's why the warrant was there in the first place. So, long and short, he was a monster with a history of violent crime. He also had some petty drug charges, but this is the biggest deal, just like George Floyd. George Floyd had a history of terrible, terrible violent crimes that also included a home invasion where he robbed a woman at gunpoint. Those are major, major, major big deals. That's not Me Too style, "Oh, he made me uncomfortable." If someone's holding a gun to you, they are putting your life in danger. They both were actively resisting arrest when they were killed. They tried to get George Floyd into the police car, and he resisted the whole way through, and they had to get him on the ground. And he likely died of a drug overdose. Still, riots happened, and innocent people lost their lives. Mom and pop shops were torn down, all over someone getting what they absolutely deserved. So now let's talk about Adam Toledo. Adam Toledo was a 13-year-old boy who was trying to join a gang. As part of the gang initiation, him and some other gang members were shooting into passing cars for some reason, which could have easily killed someone, and the police were called. Adam ran down an alley while holding a gun. He ultimately dropped the gun, which the police officer chasing him could not see because the fence was blocking him. He put up his hands, and the police officer still believed he had the gun, and the police officer shot. He had 0.8 of a second to make that decision, and he did what he had to do. Adam Toledo made an adult decision and got an adult penalty. The police officer does not have to wait to be killed in order to respond. He got what he ultimately deserved because of the decisions he was making. And by the same token, racial police brutality is a myth. More whites die at the hands of police than blacks do, and always in these cases they are actively resisting arrest. I only know of one case where they were not actively resisting arrest, and that was Philando Castile. He was completely compliant, and the officer shot him when he reached for his wallet because he had a concealed carry permit, and the officer thought he was reaching for a gun. That was unacceptable because he was following orders. The rest of the time, this is almost always completely deserved. I very, very rarely hear of cases where they were just picking daisies in a field and all of a sudden they were ambushed by police. There was always information that makes it make sense. So let's talk about those numbers. Let's see. In 2020, 457 whites were shot by police, and 457 whites were shot by police, and 241 blacks were shot by police. More whites die at the hands of police than blacks, case being. So why is there this myth of racial police brutality? When blacks get killed, just as when whites get killed, it's almost always, in most of the major cases that I've seen, it is because they are actively resisting arrest. They also had committed terrible violent crimes that they deserve to be executed for, like an armed home invasion. So this is all nonsense and needs to stop. It's a shame that innocent people are losing their lives, homes are being burned down, businesses are being destroyed